I'm your host, Amtaj Kar, and this is We Went to Miami. Welcome to the podcast, Luke Sawhook. A little intro about Luke, and the story of how I met Luke is a really fun one. But Luke is a 2023 grad with myself, a ETBD major, which is Emerging Technology for Business and Design, with a minor in Sports Leadership and Management. That is very important to our conversations today. At his time at Miami, he served as a fantasy football club president all 4 years he was on campus. He did fantasy football and NFL content, covered 2 Super Bowls with NFL media, and also worked for the Yankees minor league baseball team, the Hudson Valley Renegades, and currently the social media coordinator for Gerda's Ice Cream. Welcome, Luke Sawhook.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You're also an absolute rock star.
I appreciate that.
Where do we begin here on our journey?
I feel like for the sake of our listeners, I have to share how we know each other.
Please.
I'm also a 23 grad, also in the same program. However, Luke and I did undergrad research together. Luke, would you like to share a little bit about our research we did and where, more importantly?
Yeah, absolutely. So we went to Disney World together, actually, is where we met on a Miami trip. I forget what, it was like a winter, like J-term class, technically. Yeah. I forget what it was called at this point, but, shout out to Artie, our professor at the time, who was like the leader of the trip or one of the leaders of the trip. And we went with a big group of students down, and we had to work on projects down there and do research on certain lands in the park and do a presentation at the end of the trip. Sounds as horrible. It was as horrible as it sounds. It was absolute torture to go to Disney World with a bunch of peers your exact same age and hang out and cause chaos. And I think there were 2 or 3 different hotel rooms max for.
Oh my God, yeah, because there were at least 4 to 5 girls.
It was chaos. It was chaos. I loved every second of that trip. It's seriously so many great memories came from that, and meeting you was one of them. So we've been kind of connected ever since. Yeah,
believe it or not, we really did do research while we were there. It does sound like a fake.
I tried to do minimal research personally. But we did actually have some really cool walking tours and stuff.
We did.
We got guides from a Disney Imagineer. We got to go backstage and learn a little bit about the lands and what makes them unique and how they plan. And it was really cool. And I remember we walked around with Artie as well, and he kind of pointed out the transition zones and the theming in the parks, and Magic Kingdom was really cool. Where for those who don't know what we're talking about, when you walk through Magic Kingdom, for example, from Adventureland to Frontierland or something like that, there's different little pathways in between each land where you're kind of in between both. And there's different lamps and there's different fences and sidewalks and pavement and stuff that are a slow, gradual, transition from land to land and part to part. And it was very interesting to learn about all that stuff. So
it is. The one thing I really retained was the weenie, which for
shout out to the weenie.
Non-entertainment design connoisseurs, the weenie is the focal point of an amusement park. So for Magic Kingdom is the castle. That was my one main takeaway. What will I do with said information?
I did know that before because of Kings Island. All right. Powers weenie.
Okay, you were ahead of the curve. I definitely was not quite with it, but yeah, that is just a really fun way how I know Luke.
Did we ever have a class together, by the way?
No, which is shocking.
I don't think we did, which is crazy because ETBD was interactive media studies before, they changed the name of the major, I think our sophomore or junior year in Miami.
Yeah, sophomore year.
It's a pretty new major still. It's pretty fresh. I remember when I signed up for the major when I was an incoming freshman, it was a pretty new program. There weren't a lot of incoming freshmen in the program, so I really am shocked we never had a single class together outside of our Disney World J-term class, but glad we did.
Honestly, great point, especially because we graduated together too. So that is I never thought about that. But looking back at your time at Miami, you've got a bunch of experiences. I mean, heavy with athletics. You worked with Miami Athletics. You did a lot of socials, not to mention minor league baseball with the Yankees. How did working at Miami or your time at Miami in general help shape a career that eventually led you to social media and marketing? Any key lessons? Moments?
Yeah, so all of it really stemmed from the fantasy football club. It all kind of started with fantasy football at Miami. So I was just a big sports nerd in high school, and I really started to get into fantasy football podcasts and stuff when I was a junior or senior in high school. I didn't really care about sports when I was a kid, but when I got older and started playing in fantasy football leagues with my friends, I was just kind of looking to nerd out about it a little bit more, I think, and I stumbled upon the Fantasy Footballers podcast, which is the #1 fantasy football podcast. If you know, I guess, if you're listening out there. Great podcast. Highly recommend. And they just like really injected me with like a love for fantasy football. And I've always kind of had a passion for content creation. But I guess we'll circle back to that later. So I went to Miami my freshman year at Mega Fair with all the orgs were for all the incoming freshmen to join. I was looking for fantasy football club because I did some research about it at my freshman orientation thing before we moved into campus. That's what it's called, right? The freshman orientation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the freshman orientation, they had us as like an assignment, look up all the clubs on campus and be like, hey, think about a thing you want to do when you like move in. So I was like, okay, cool. Fantasy football club. Got it. So I found it at Mega Fair. I signed up. And the way the org works, or at least worked back then, was they would have a weekly meeting during football season or like just before football season every Tuesday night in Farmer to just get everybody together and just talk about football, talk about fantasy football. And I loved it. And everyone in the org who were like the founding members still. It was 3 guys, I think. 3 or 4 guys, and they were looking for new exec team members. And I was a freshman who was obsessed with fantasy football. And I was like, sure, might as well. I don't know. I'm confident enough, I guess.
And I've got to ask, was this the 4 exec members and you in like a random room in Farmer every week? Like, how big was this club?
So it actually was decently large. I mean, for Mega Fair every year, they would get like 150 signups.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's still an org that's doing pretty well on campus from what I understand. At least I hope so. I think it is. I can get into that more later, I guess. But anyways, the weekly meetings back then would probably have like a core group of, 20-ish guys and a
That's
couple
still
girls
pretty
who would
great.
come out every
Yeah.
week and talk about football or whatever. And it was just a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun just like bantering on topics. And actually that was completely unnecessary or by coincidence, I promise. But the old president, or the president at the time, Adam Wise, who's another Miami alum, obviously, coded a fantasy football league game mode unique to the club called Banter.
Oh, wow.
It was super cool. Like only our club played it. And the way it worked was he would hit a button every week and randomize your lineup, but you'd be missing a position. Like I would be missing a quarterback and you'd be missing your running back. So we'd have to trade. So we would like
Interesting.
talk about football for half an hour. And then he would hit the like randomize button and everyone would get up in the room and like make trades with each other. It was so fun. But anyways, they were all seniors and they were looking for new exec members. So I decided to run as club president, or my backup was VP of operations, which like handled like the weekly like meeting content, essentially like get up there and like
Got
man
it.
the PowerPoint and do all that. I won president, which was really cool.
Congratulations.
And thank you. I did that all 4 years there, and the club evolved to having bi-weekly meetings year round, played flag football on Cook Field a lot, all that kind of good stuff. It was a lot of fun. But anyways, over the summer of 2020, I found out that the old club Twitter account hadn't been used since 2018. And I was like, okay, cool. So I started posting like very mediocre fantasy football content on that Twitter account.
Yeah.
I was the like annoying guy who would like make a poll asking like which player do you prefer, and then tagged like 30 accounts in the comments to try to get engagement. That's what I was doing. It was terrible. But I was going into my sophomore year at Miami. I didn't have any really firm social media experience yet. That was the first lick of it I got. And I made a connection a guy named Eric, EK Baller on Twitter, cringe. He works for a website called dynastynerds.com, which is like a dynasty fantasy football website. It's pretty popular. I made a connection with him, and I, not to brag, got an unpaid social media internship with them to start.
Hey, that's big freshman year.
Yeah. So that was my first gig. It was basically just freelance work, but I was looking for internships because, college and whatever. So I took that and I announced it on my personal Twitter account that had like 200 followers from like high school friends and, some random spam bots probably. And I was like, hey, I'm really excited to announce I got an, a social media internship with Dynasty Nerds. And some people from like fantasy football and NFL Twitter started interacting with the post, and it got like 100 likes. And I was like, oh, this is like a thing.
That's
cool.
huge, especially on Twitter. So, like that's a big number.
It was really cool. Yeah, it was really cool. It felt, really nice. And I made some connections and got to say thank you to some folks. And from there, kind of started my journey into sports content creation and social media management. And that's what I've been doing for the last like 5 years, essentially. And I built up my Twitter to 35,000 followers now, which is really fun. I post like my life. Literally, if you want to know what I'm doing in my life every day, hey, come follow me on Twitter. That's what I do. I like post like my life and my sports opinions. And when it gets closer to fantasy football season, I post like rankings and advice and all that kind of stuff. But that opportunity led to a bunch of different opportunities over the years when my account was just growing and I was meeting more people. I probably worked with over a dozen different sports media companies in some capacity doing their social media or making fantasy articles or whatever over the last few years. I worked with Matthew Berry from ESPN and NBC Sports before. That was really cool. Worked with Des Bryant, the former Dallas Cowboys wide receiver, pretty recently. That was a really good experience. I'm currently actually working with Cam Jurgens, a Super Bowl champion center for the Philadelphia Eagles, on his beef jerky company, Jergy. So shout out to
That's
Cam, I guess.
so cool.
I have that going on right now, but that kind of like been the thing that I've been doing kind of like as a passion project, side hustle, whatever. And my career from that started with my internships at Miami Athletics. I did social media for their men's basketball team. And then during that winter, I got an internship with the Hudson Valley Renegades, which is the high A affiliate of the New York Yankees. For those who don't know, there's 4 levels in minor league baseball. So the major leagues are up here. Then it's AAA, one step below that, AA, one step below that, high A, which is what the Renegades are, and also the Dayton Dragons, if anyone local knows the Dayton Dragons. That's the level of minor league baseball they're on as well. And then there's low A. So I was like halfway between in the minors essentially, but I was an intern out there in summer of 2022. It's a great experience out in the Hudson Valley in New York. Got to run the team socials, do the whole shebang. Moved back to Oxford for, my senior year. Really did not think, my junior year, really did not think I was coming back after that. Little did I know my boss at the time was going to be quitting. So that actually
No
led to my
way.
job. So I got hired while I was still at Miami in my senior year, my spring of my senior year. They hired me in February of 2023. They let me work remote while I was still finishing classes at Miami from February to May, which is really
And was
cool.
that stressful trying to finish and round up your senior year while like starting
Honestly,
your
not
full-time job?
really. I got all my like capstones and stuff out of the way a little early. So I had like one hard class and I had basketball and I think it was like Asian film studies or something like that.
Okay.
So it was a pretty low key schedule. It was easy to maintain. And all my classes were also on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Monday,
Nice.
Wednesday, Friday, I was like working 9 to 5 remote in my apartment on
That's
campus.
wild.
It was really cool. It was great. I loved it. It was definitely not the best experience because I wasn't there in person interacting with everybody,
Right.
but it was still really cool and I was thankful for it. But I graduated May 14th? I graduated on that Sunday. And I literally packed up all my stuff and moved to New York the next day.
Oh my gosh.
And I lived out there from May of 2024 until,
20
May of 23 until July of 2024. I moved back home and I worked for Des Bryant's company full time for a couple months doing social media for him. It was kind of horrible
Oh
without getting
gosh.
into
Okay.
details. There were some cool opportunities, like no hate to them or whatever, but it was very stressful. The environment wasn't really working for me. Some pay cuts came through, so I had to look elsewhere. And I was super, super excited to be blessed with the opportunity to work for Graders, which is where I'm at now. I'm the social media coordinator for them, and I joined in October, and I've been there since, and it's been fantastic. So that is my very long-winded spiel of all
No,
of it.
you're good. Every time I was like thinking of asking you like a follow-up question, you just seamlessly go into like what I was about to ask you, so that was perfect.
Okay, well,
And
thanks.
so, no, that was great. And with all of that, this all starts kind of from you posting not haphazardly on Twitter when you were, Yin Fantasy Club president, but you were saying you would do the polls, you'd be tagging 30 people in the comments, trying to get
Yeah.
something work, and you yourself, you were like, it wasn't the best strategy, but lo and behold, it became like this catalyst for you, and like I don't think you pulled out the stat of your own Twitter, but I don't think you shared the stat of how much you grew the Dynasty account too, if you want to humble brag real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I did not start there from zero. I started when they had about 22,000 followers from they were just posting articles. The reason I reached out to them in the first place when I was, had no experience even, I just wanted to kind of get into that lane. And I knew I was wanting to do social media stuff when I majored in ETBD in Miami. They were literally just posting links to their articles. I mean, NFL Sundays were going by and they weren't posting a single thing. And I was like, guys, what are we doing here? So yeah, I mean, I grew their account from about 22,000 followers to about 40-ish thousand followers in
Yeah,
about
that's no
a
joke.
year and a half. So that was really cool. It was a really good experience. I was with them for about a year and a half and I learned a lot. And yeah, it was really nice.
And so with that, you've grown now multiple social media accounts by tens of thousands of followers. You've run
Yes.
major companies. Trust me, we will get to graders. As a Cincinnati native myself, I'm very invested in this.
I am
But
too. Trust.
with all of this, like, what's the secret sauce, or like, what's the key ingredient, do you
Man.
think, building a social media following, especially in this day and age?
It's a really good question. A lot of it is just consistency and showing up and just posting stuff. But that's not the answer for brands. I think for more like personal, like my Twitter account, the reason it's grown is like I tweet minimum 1,000 times a month every month for the last 5 years. Like
I
that's how
know
it's
some
gone up.
people just heard that statistic and like clutched their pearl.
I don't blame you. I really don't. But like you have to remember, like Twitter is a lot easier than like
Yep.
Instagram. Like a tweet counts as a reply to somebody's comment. Literally me posting a thumbs up emoji and that's it.
Yeah.
It can be anything. But yeah, I mean, it is a lot of time. I mean, let me just pull up my screen time real quick while I'm just doing this. I mean, another answer is too, it's, like the 10,000 hour rule, just spending so much time on social media
You
and
shared a rule. For our audience who may not know the rule, do you want to go into that a little bit?
yeah, sure. It's the 10,000 hour rule is roughly, I don't know whose quote it is. I'm so sorry.
You're so
It's
fine.
quote essentially saying you have to put in 10,000 hours into something to become a master of it or like expert at it or, master that craft. So, I think for my profession, it's not just posting and creating content for 10,000 hours or being a social media manager. It's also being like a content consumer. You really have to spend time on platforms. Like I'm a professional at this now. Like my full-time job is social media management. This is not screen time for my work computer. This is not screen time for my work phone. This is screen time for my personal phone that I have right here. My last week's screen time average on this device was 7.5 hours a day. And I spent 14 and a half hours on Twitter last week, 8 hours and 14 minutes on TikTok, 7.5 hours on YouTube, and 4.5 hours on Instagram. So, like, I am online. You
Yeah,
know
you
what I
are.
mean? So, a lot of it is just when you see content that works and you see stuff that you really like, a lot of it is also just like vibes based, just like, no, there's no hard skill for it, but just like knowing what audiences respond well to. Like that's the thing I think I've learned the most that is like the key to success on different platforms is like one style of posting is not going to work on multiple platforms or like work for
Yep.
the same brand or whatever. You have to find what works and you have to know what will get a reaction out of the audience depending on what you're doing. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned honestly. It's like learning those little nuances on like how to get reactions from audiences, what platforms work best and what don't, and what content works well on others and what doesn't, the cadence and starts posting and timing and Instagram like carousels do really well on Twitter,
Yep.
text only posts do really well or videos underperform, stuff like that. You just learn over time. The secret sauce I would say is just trying to entertain on brand accounts rather than sell. I feel like that's a big mistake a lot of brands make, is just playing it really safe and just posting when they have a flash sale or just like a picture of their product and like that's it. You have to
Yeah.
post memes, people. Sorry, you do. You have to post memes. You have to post shareable content. That's the way of things are going nowadays. People want to be entertained by brand accounts, or else they'll feel like it's inauthentic and not genuine, and they won't care, and they'll never, talk about your friend about what your marketing is. If you want to make a splash, you have to entertain.
I think those are, I feel like you dropped so many like pearls of wisdom. And so if anyone, is listening and trying to
Yep.
build their social media account, I feel like I would keep that like segment on loop. But, you shared your screen time, which when I saw yours, I laughed only because I think mine is very similar. Granted, I'm not on Twitter anymore and I'm no longer on TikTok, which is,
Don't blame
we'll
you
get
for
to
either
that.
of those, by the way.
Yeah.
Real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
The one thing that is hard about this job is knowing I can never unplug ever. It's kind of
Yep.
an interesting phenomenon. Like you said, I'm off Twitter now. Yeah, literally can never do that. Hey, can't.
Yeah.
TikTok can't. And I don't necessarily think I've ever wanted to, but it's an interesting thing. Like if I'm like on a trip or something, or if I'm just like hanging out at home, I can't like not touch my phone all day because I feel like I'm missing everything. It's weird.
No, that makes sense. And like, at the same time, I completely understand why. And like, as someone who's also like worked in the social media industry, like, I agree with you, but also like, I don't know, that made my heart hurt a little bit. Like, and like,
No,
you
it's
know, I
fine.
I feel like your early career is like this weird thing of, is there truly ever work-life balance? Not to get existential on the pod, but
No,
like,
let's do it. Let's get existential. The answer is no. I think the answer is actually no if you want to actually like make an impact. You know what I mean? Like you're a grinder, you get it. Like you have a bunch of different little side projects and side hustles you do. I do too. I do freelance marketing outside of graders. I do my fantasy football content and sports content when I have the energy for it. I work a full-time job, I have to balance a social life. You understand. Like, and
100%.
everyone understands. I'm sure there's people listening to this who have like kids and they're like, shut up. I know, okay, I get it. But like it's true. I mean, when you're in your early 20s, early mid 20s, I mean, you're gonna have to put in extra hours if you like want to do cool stuff and like want to build a brand or whatever. It is an interesting thing.
That's exactly what I was gonna, again, you keep seamlessly transitioning questions I want to ask you. But I was gonna ask, like, do you feel like it is the age we're at? And like I say the age we're at because I know Luke and I are similar age because we graduated together, but do you think it is just like your early 20s, like part of you just needs to like eat it and grind, or like, what does that look like? Because I feel like, you've got, at least what I've noticed from some of our peers, you have like folks that are really hustling, and then you have like people who are in their eat, pray, love era right now.
Love that
We
for them
have
though.
peers getting married right now. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
everyone's everywhere. And like, how did you pick the era you're in for your early 20s? Or did it pick you?
I picked it. I think I honestly I spent a lot of time in college working on it. I think is the
Yeah.
thing is like I've always kind of wanted to do this. It's a lot of passion for me. Like the story I always mention is like when I was in 7th grade, I asked for a Blue Yeti microphone and a capture card for my Xbox to make Call of Duty YouTube videos. Like I've always wanted to be a
You've
content
always known.
creator. I've said like, if somebody asked me like what is your like purpose in life, I would say like to make things for people to enjoy broadly. I really love making content and giving little bits to people to like entertain and just like share my life and experiences. So I think it's just like deeply rooted in me. Like I'm very like I always tell everyone that I'm with, I'm like I'm just content brains like all the time. Like we go
Yeah.
out to eat, like what do you mean I'm not gonna take pictures of my food to like post on my Instagram story and my Twitter account? Like what do you mean? Like people
Phone
don't
eats
just
first
do that.
always. Yeah.
I know, but, like, to answer your question, I feel like it is kinda just, like, the era of life, like I said, like, it's totally fine, like, I could just go to work at Graders every day and come home and just chill. That's great. I just think I have an intrinsic motivation to do more, and I
Yeah.
feel like you do too, and a lot of people do, and I'm just interested in doing stuff beyond my 9 to 5 job for the love of the game, for the passion of it, and to try to grow it into something else that maybe could be more cool in the future, but, for me, like, content creation is just something I enjoy. I'll do it 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 actually every day at work from Monday through Friday, but then I'll go home and, live tweet a MLB game and post garbage memes and fantasy football opinions all night. Like, it's just what I like to do. I don't know. I just like it.
No, and that's what your audience, has to love from you to like keep a following. And
Sure.
you mentioned earlier where you're like, I can't get off Twitter, I can't get off TikTok because that's inherent to your success career-wise and
Yeah.
like personal projects as well. With the ever-changing landscape of social media, whether it was the introduction of TikTok, whether, I know Blue Sky is getting a lot of traction right now due to like disgruntled feelings about Twitter and now X.
Sure.
How do you keep up and how are you deciding when is it time to jump ship or like join another or add another platform to your arsenal?
It's interesting. I feel like with social media, like professionally, it's a lot of wait and see. Like I think with Blue
Yeah.
Sky at Graders, like I made the decision to go to my boss and be like, "Hey, like this is the thing that's happening right now. I think we should at minimum go over there and secure our handle and like post like something." And he was like, "Yeah, cool." I think Blue Sky in general, not to dive too deep into it, I don't think it's a great place for brands. It's more for
Yeah.
personal use in my opinion because it doesn't really the way the feeds work, it only really shows you a lot of like who you follow or subjects you are interested in. It's not going to show you brand stuff really unless you like just go out of your way to follow them. Excuse me. So I'm not really doing anything for graders on Blue Sky. But with like TikTok, it's interesting. I wasn't really working for brands as much when TikTok was like blowing up. So by the time I really got into the space, TikTok was already a thing. But I feel like if a new TikTok started, it'd be a similar thing to Blue Sky. I think I would go on there, secure a domain, and kind of like have like a brief wait and see period.
Yeah.
Excuse me, to see if like the energy and the content effort to put in over there is worth it or not. But for now, I mean, a lot of it is just being on every day. Like you said, like, how do I know? Just looking, like, I spend a lot of time at work on Twitter looking at the trending section, like, serious, like, because that is the best pulse of like what is happening in the country. Like, I'm so serious about that. Like, stuff that's trending on Twitter is like what stuff people are talking about, like, right now. And just looking at public sentiment online from TikTok and Twitter and just scrolling and just seeing what people are kind of saying is what I base a lot of stuff off of. So
That's neat. And, you've mentioned graders a few times, so I feel like we must chat about this.
we
But
must.
one, graders, I think, is a Cincinnati cult classic. And I mean that in the like most sincerest and positive of ways. Like Cincinnatians don't mess around about graders. And I know you started in October. I literally DM'd you about the collaboration when it happened. But the infamous Skyline Chili and Graders collaboration, which for our listeners who may not know, one, if you went to Miami, you've got to know Skyline Chili. I'm going to make the bold, sweeping statement. If you
Yeah.
don't, it is Cincinnati's famous chili, superb chili. Controversially, you can find it on a bowl of spaghetti with insane amounts of cheese or on top of a hot dog. And Graders and Skyline collaborated to create a
We
pint of
did.
ice cream.
I actually have it in my freezer. Hang on.
No way. We're about to get an inside scoop on the Greater Skyline Club. I can confirm it is delicious. Poor Luke is running out to his freezer to grab this, but it almost broke the internet. Let's see, Luke's got
It
it.
didn't fully break the internet, but I broke local Cincinnati internet. Yeah, here's the pint right here.
I mean, it's
There's still some in it.
gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. There's still some in it. It's partially, it doesn't look very pretty right now, but I'm gonna show it anyway. That's what it looks like. You can see
Yeah,
the
so it's
oyster.
got like the oyster crackers in there, which is again a Skyline classic.
Yes, here's the pints again. So yeah, I mean, you want me to talk a little bit about the flavor and whatnot?
I mean, you can talk about, I mean, what was it like on the social side of this? Was it already in play when you joined the team? Like, whatever behind the scenes you want to give about it.
Yes, I mean, the flavor collaboration with Skyline and Graders is in the works for multiple years. I mean,
Oh,
we've
wow.
always had, good partnership with Skyline, the folks at Skyline being two Cincinnati iconic brands, like you mentioned. They've had talks of doing it briefly, but the flavor was in development while I started there. It actually leaked online about 2 weeks before I started. I was in the interview process when it like leaked online, and I was like, that's interesting. Funny story about the leak, by the way, behind the scenes on the leak. That
I'm really
pint that
glad you're
leaked,
going into it because I'm
yeah,
like
that
really
pint that
curious.
leaked was years old. I don't know why
Oh,
that leaked. It's kind of strange because by the time of the flavor leaked, the flavor was not even finalized yet. Like they were still trying variations of it behind the scenes. The pint art wasn't even
wow.
made. Like it was a super, super early days mock up of a pint of Skyline ice cream that leaked. So that's super crazy because I think the people online and like, consumers like me who weren't working there at the time was like, oh my God, is this coming like soon? That's
Yeah,
crazy. Like it looks like it's like done. Like Kroger has it. It's like done. It was not done, which I think is really interesting. But yeah, I mean, I got to try some flavor variations of it behind the scenes, which is really cool. I'm not on the Graders flavor development team, but people I work with are obviously. So I got to
makes
try it
sense.
a couple times, which is really cool. I think we found out that we were going to launch it in January, probably in December or late November. So
Oh,
I
wow.
knew
So
about
that
it
was a
for a little
quick
while.
turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, we're just kind of finalizing the flavor formula because there was a lot of different variations about it, which we can talk about. There were some that, there was some that had chili in it,
Okay, I
chili
was
powder,
wondering
not
if
sorry,
that
sorry, sorry,
was
not
like,
chili. There were some
yeah.
flavors that had chili powder in it. There were some that to make it taste more like chili. There were some flavors that had cheese pieces in it. There were some flavors in it that didn't
Interesting.
have oyster crackers. There were some with oyster crackers. I think there were I believe I was told by R&D 28-ish different
Oh
flavor
my gosh.
variations, which is a lot more than a typical flavor for graders. So the flavor they landed on here is Skyline Spice with oyster crackers. That's very key. I think a lot of people thought this was going to be disgusting, and I don't blame them on
Yeah.
first read because chili ice cream doesn't sound good. But Skyline Spices, for those who haven't had it or so those who have, cinnamon and those warmer spices are key in the Skyline signature spice mix, which is secret, by the way. But they let us use the actual spice mix in their ice cream, which was
Oh,
really cool.
wow.
It is the Skyline spice mix. It's not an imitation. It is the Skyline spice mix with our ice cream base. And that's the flavor you get. I mean, I watched a ton of videos of people reacting to trying this flavor on social media when this flavor came out because it was really popular, which we'll get to in a bit. But the flavor notes that a lot of people will give you on this is cinnamon, Christmas vibes. I heard a lot of chai latte people say it tastes like
Yeah, I
chai.
can see that.
That's kind of the flavor notes you get. It's really not bad at all. I give it like a 7 out of 10 personally. I love all Raiders ice cream, of course. But I think for the novelty that it is, it's fantastic. It's so good. I think my favorite part about
Beautiful.
this flavor is there's oyster crackers in it and they stay crunchy, which is
That's
amazing.
exactly what I was gonna say. They don't get
Yeah,
all soggy and gross like you think they
crazy.
would.
But yeah, the campaign was a lot of fun to work on. I mean, I was walking around the office every day being like, this is my Super Bowl, like this is huge. I mean, for a social media person, also my first flavor launch, hello,
Yep.
really cool. So, I mean, I worked with the team at Skyline to finalize all the creative for our social media campaign. I came up with a teaser post for, that Wednesday of the week of the launch. So just a blacked out silhouette of the Skyline Pints on a blue background. The only teaser was the blue background, and Skyline also commented like the eyeball emojis on it. So people
Yeah.
started to kind of figure it out. But then 2 days later, on that Friday, we did a full announcement being like, it's here and it's spectacular. Skyline's Boys with Oyster Crackers, two Cincinnati icons collab, whatever. And it got like
Yeah.
11,000 likes, 9,000 shares on Instagram, which is
Which is
bonkers
crazy.
for us. Yeah, crazy.
And I
Um,
know I was one of them. Like
oh,
I
I
was
was too.
like I was
I was freaking out and I worked there. I worked on the whole campaign. But that was awesome. And then we sent out a bunch of shipper boxes to influencers and let their kind of content breathe over the weekend. And then the flavor came out on Monday and it sold out in like a week and a half. It moved
oh man.
faster than any like limited edition flavor we've had at that scale, like ever, I think, or like at least in recent years. The example we use a lot internally to compare it to was the Fiena of the Hippo flavor, Chunky Hippo.
I love Chunky Hippo.
Chunky Chunky Hippo, great flavor. Not
Which,
available
for
right
those
now.
of you who are listening, Chunky Hippo is an ode to Fiona the Hippo at the Cincinnati
Yep.
Zoo. Phenomenal flavor. Don't remember what it consists of, but I've tried. It's,
Full transparency, I actually never tried that flavor because it's not available anymore, but I've heard it's
well,
really good.
it is
But
pretty good.
anyways, we had like internal metrics that compared sales and everything to Chunky Chunky Hippo because that was a really popular flavor when it dropped. Skyline sold like I believe roughly, don't quote me on this, was like it sold like 3 times as fast or 4 times as fast.
I
Like it
believe it.
sold out fast, like
And
really fast.
Kroger's were sold out of it.
Yeah, no, like our stores were sold out. They had the little like single serve big scoops in Skyline stores. Like it was gone in like 2 weeks. Like it was so fast. Because our goal initially when we launched it, the launch date was January 27th, and the Super Bowl I think was February 6th. Our goal was it for to be around for, or sorry, February 9th maybe. The goal was it for to be around for Super Bowl. It was like a launch in time for Super Bowl. You know, it'd be a great thing to
Yeah,
have for
like
the get
if
together
anyone
party.
brought it to a party, like everyone would be
Exactly.
stoked.
But by the time the big game even rolled around, it was
Wasn't even there.
gone. It was
Yeah,
gone. So, like, fantastic problem to have, right? That was kind of the talk around the
100%.
Graders offices of like, "Hey, yeah, it sold way faster than we wanted to, and, it was kinda crazy, but what a great problem to have," right? It was a very successful campaign. Yeah, I'm super proud of it. Got a ton of media attention, and I can't take too much credit for it. I told my boss, I was like, "I literally could post, like, a picture of this thing super blurry from 20 feet away, and it would get, like, 10,000 likes." Like, I
Yeah.
knew at the end of the day this was a layup for me, but it was an honor and a privilege to work on the campaign so closely and have such an impact on it, and for my first flavor release, it was really cool. Great experience for sure.
That's awesome, and I have to tell on myself, I'd purchased I think I literally DoorDashed it from Skyline because I was like, "I obviously need this," and, like, I was, like, traveling for work, just got back to Columbus now, and was like, "I need to get this." So I DoorDash it, whatever, post on my story, and I'm just like, "Graders, like, hook your girl up," and Luke DMs me, and he goes, "By
I
the
did.
way, you're messaging me via the greatest DM," and I was like, "Oh my god, how embarrassing." But also like
I thought
so
that.
freaking cool. I mean, especially to just like community manage during that time. Like also the fact that like a real human being is like reading the story mentions and like that data obviously is going to go to like
Every day.
higher ups at graders. But like how cool. And like, you know, moving from New York back to the Cincinnati area, like to be working for a brand like graders, I feel like I'm really hyping you up, but like I'm sure there's a part of you that's just like so proud of yourself. And like, I don't know if you've taken a moment to like get your flowers or feel them, but like, I hope you feel that way.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm giving you a hand heart. Didn't mean for that to happen, but I'll take it, I guess. My Mac, FaceTime effects are on for this call apparently. Hey, I'm gonna do like double peace signs.
Oh, and it's, whoa!
No, no, you can do this. We're getting
I
a
had,
side here. For those who have
no,
Apple products on like FaceTime and stuff, if you do hand signs for certain updates, you get like signals. Like if you do like double thumbs up, it does like balloons or fireworks.
that's what
If
you're
you
going to
do
break my
double like
podcast,
rock and
Luke.
roll hand signs, it does lasers. If you do a hand heart, it does hearts. So, anyways, I just gave one of those to you. But anyways, yeah, it's really cool to be able to work for a company like Graders. I mean, like it's hard to feel that proud of yourself like on a day to day when you're like
Yeah,
you're in it all the time. But I like trust me when I was like through the application process and like first got the job and it's a pinch me thing for sure. I mean, I love Grater's ice cream. I've lived in Cincinnati my entire life growing up until I lived in New York for like a year and a half. But I've lived in Cincinnati my whole life. And Grater's ice cream is like my favorite ice cream in the world. Like actually, they're not
I
paying me to
love
say that, I
that.
promise. I go to the Deerfield store all the time, and I was growing up all the time. So to be a part of that brand is really special, and they're a fantastic company to work for. Again, I promise no one's bribing me to say this. I seriously haven't had a single bad day working there in the 5 months that I've been
I
there so
love
far.
that.
And it's a great company. It really is a family-owned company still. Like it seriously is. Like Rich Grader and Chip Grader are upstairs in my office building every day.
That's
I say
crazy.
hi to them every day. We're in meetings. They are a part of the team. They are leading the company. Like it's awesome. It's a great environment, and I couldn't be more happy to work there.
I love that. And so obviously, you know, with this being a Miami podcast, I've got to
Yes,
hit you with a Miami rapid fire.
please.
Okay. Now I know you're a more recent grad like me, so some of these might be easier than it will be for other guests, but I
Okay.
try to keep it uniform. If you could go back to campus for one day, where's the first place you're gonna go?
It's a great question. It depends if I'm by myself or do I have like like am I time traveling or like who's with me or like what's the situation?
No time travel and you're alone.
Whoa. Okay. So no time travel and I'm alone.
Yeah.
Probably bagel and deli. I don't know.
Okay.
Lame answer. But like
No, I
if I'm
respect
by
it.
myself and I'm going like right now to campus, I would like to go to bagel and deli and get some food probably. Yeah.
Okay, because I felt like you felt very passionate. If there was time travel and you had people, where
Okay.
would you be going?
I'd probably roll brick with my friends.
Honestly,
I'd probably
I
go right to Brick
I
Street with my
too
buddies.
think that would be where I'm going. Shout out Brick Street Bar and Grill for that.
Absolutely.
We love you guys. Okay, favorite class you took at Miami?
That's a great question. I think there's different ones for different answers or like different reasons. I think my favorite one looking back on it for all of it is my very first IMS boot camp class with Artie. I met so many of my friends from the major in that
Oh,
class and we all like bonded and stuff, and those were friends I had in my classes and people I would look for advice from. It helped me on my assignments and my homework, and we would get together and do group projects together all 4 years of college. So I think I just have a lot of really fun memories of that class because the IMS boot camp format was 2 classes jammed into one semester essentially our freshman year. It was what was it? Intro to design thinking, maybe? I forget
yes.
what it was. And then the other one was HTML and CSS coding. And we would double up on those. You'd just get shivers from I did too.
Literally,
I
it was the
did
worst of
not
times.
enjoy coding. Love you, Artie, but it was very difficult for me. But, trauma bonding's not the right word. But we were, like in it
Yeah,
together and
finding
we did it
community in
all the time.
struggle.
Yeah. And I made a lot of really great connections and friendships in those classes. And I feel like I also learned a lot. And it was just a great experience looking back on it. Another honorable mention I want to give, though, is my sports economics class, my junior or senior year while I was at Miami for my minor. Professor Eisel, he made sports economics the most fun thing ever. Super
Incredible.
unique and right after my own heart. He made our sports economics class a fantasy Premier League soccer team or league. And it was a group project where you and a few other people would all draft a team in an auction draft style. And you had to manage your money like you were a real team with a real salary cap in the league. And he
This
did
sounds
like,
like your dream class.
it
I
was
can see why
amazing.
it's your favorite.
There
Yeah,
was a fake like money allotment for like TV rights deals based on
that's
like what
awesome.
city you were, if you were a small market team or a big market team. Like it made it feel like you were a real like sports general manager and had to balance all the finances and make financial decisions, but also like manage this like fantasy sports team. And if your team won, they would give you more money. It was really cool. I loved it. I just thought it was such a unique concept, and he was just a great professor.
That's incredible. And my final question, because you're a social media manager, if there was a
Yeah.
highlight reel about your time at Miami, what are 2 to 3 moments that would stick out?
Man, from Miami, I feel like getting elected president of Fantasy Football Club my freshman year, doing a social media for the football team the fall of my senior year was really awesome. I mean, I literally was up in the press box by myself with my laptop live tweeting the football games. That was
That's
really cool.
awesome.
And then probably Green Beer Day my senior year.
Yeah.
It was
No,
awesome.
and that's so real. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are probably my 3 for sure. I had a lot of great experiences in Miami, but those are probably the 3 I would go with.
Those are awesome. And if our audience wants to connect with you outside of this interview, time for you to just give any shameless plugs or promote
Please.
anything you'd like to.
I love a shameless plug. Well, first of all, if you're looking for a freelance marketing person, hey, hit me up. No, but my name is Luke Sawhook, Luke, and then the 2 metal objects. That's how you spell my last name, Sawhook. On literally every social media platform you can think of, go find me, go, Pinterest included, all of them. Go find me. Bisco, Be Real, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok,
He's
all of them.
everywhere.
Go find me. No, but actually, I mean, if you want to actually like follow what I'm doing, check me out on Twitter or X, whatever you call it. I still call it Twitter. Sorry. I post a lot on there. It's my biggest platform.
1,000 times a
TikTok,
month.
1,000 times a month at minimum. I posted over 4,000 times in a month before during NFL
Sheesh.
season. It's ridiculous. Follow me over on Twitter, TikTok as well, and Instagrams where I'm trying to make some more content, do some short form video stuff. But yeah, I would love to connect with you guys on LinkedIn as well. Also, just Luke Sawhook over on there. There's only one person with my name in the world, so it should be not too hard to find me.
I love that. And thank you so much for coming on. Luke is actually the first interview we've had for this podcast.
Let's go.
So thank you for being like the
Honored.
inaugural interviewee, and thanks for just hopping on.
Of course, you're amazing, and you do so many incredible things, and maybe I'll interview you
Aw.
sometime because you deserve it.
I appreciate it. All right, y'all. Luke's information will be in the description of the podcast. We'll link some of his socials. Dare I say, maybe we'll add an email if you are looking for a
Maybe?
social
I don't
media
know.
marketer. We'll see what Luke's feeling. But thank you for tuning in and excited to see you guys until next time.
Thanks, guys.
That's a wrap on We Went to Miami. Like what you heard? Share it, sub it, hype it up. Till next time, love and honor.